going on, everybody? It's your boy JP Joe Paul. We are back in the motherfucking building, back on another Tuesday morning. I always talk about it's Tuesday mornings when I'm recording this, but it's never going to be Tuesday morning when the actual video goes up. It's probably going to be like around Wednesday or Thursday afternoon. So I hope that your Thursday afternoon is going fantastic. I hope that you had a good lunch. Hope you had a good breakfast. Hope your system is running good so you can sit up here and you can listen to this basketball content for the next 50 minutes to an hour or so. But we are back with another edition of Basketball Weekly. Today is March 19th, I believe, or a couple days past St. Patrick's Day. Do people still actually celebrate St. Patrick's Day? I'll be in the crib, so I'm not really sure like what people, what the move is. Do people still like go out to bars and get drunk and all that good shit? Y'all let me know in the comments below. But if you guys do celebrate St. Patrick's Day, I hope you had a great St. Patrick's Day, a safe St. Patrick's Day, and you're ready to tackle on this week. So let's get it going. Basketball Weekly, I believe this is number 4. Yeah, I believe it's number 4. So Basketball Weekly number 4. We are back in this bitch, and let's go ahead and let's get this thing going. So to kick things off, what did I tell y'all about the month of March, man? The month of March is where you see some of the weirdest, funkiest, most wild game winners that I've ever seen. So just so if you guys do know, I'm counting this one as one in March too. So on February 27th, that's when we got Max Strus hitting that game-winning buzzer beater against the Mavericks. Half court crazy shit. And I said then, yo, listen, we rounding the corner. We coming into that March season where you start to see some real weird shit go on towards the end of games. And niggas thought I was playing. So then a couple days later after that, you see in college another half-court buzzer beater gets made, and you're just like, what are the odds of that? And then a couple days after that, there's another game winner in the NBA. I'm blanking on who it was right now. I'll put it in I'll put in a clip of it when I edit this. But there was another game winner in the NBA. And then just a couple days ago, we get Kyrie coming off doing a left-hand sky hook floater over Jokic of all people. Cash out, game over, buzzer beater. Like, so the crazy thing about what goes on around March at the time is that for some reason the whole go ahead shot thing like isn't enough for the month of March. Like the month of March is dramatic. The month of March is petty. Like the month of March likes to really like break niggas down because that's the only way that you are able to see Kyrie Irving drive left, do a left hand sky hook. It was a legit sky hook. It wasn't like one of those baby hooks that you see every once in a while. It was a legit, he was at the elbow of the free throw line over a 7-footer. There's nothing like if you go back and you run that footage of when Magic hit the game winner or the game winning sky hook over the Celtics, verbatim, I shit you not, Kyrie Irving's shot was more impressive because he came off, right? He tried to go right, couldn't go right, had to spin back and go left, right? Mine was only like 3 seconds or something on the clock. He's able to spin back to the middle. He's not able to even get back to his strong hand to shoot an actual jump shot. He has to kind of shield off Jokic because, Jokic is like 7'1" and all that. He has to shield off Jokic with his body and legit throw a sky hook from the elbow of the free throw line. And he buried that bitch. I'm just trying to tell y'all, man, it's only March 19th. We still have like 12 days for some wild shit to go on. The tournament hasn't even kicked off yet. And we're already seeing these wild game winners. So, my man, I'm telling you, strap in. It's going to be lit. Alrighty, but speaking of the NCAA tournament, so this past Sunday was Selection Sunday, and I was going to come here on Monday and really my initial plan was to come in here and to make a bracket out of the, to create a bracket out of the bracket, you know what I'm saying? So, we get our number 1 seeds, but as I sat down and I looked at, the ESPN website and I looked at all these games, it really just dawned on me that I am not prepared to sit up here and to break down matchup for matchup what goes on in that scenario. I'm super excited to watch the tournament. I think it's going to be an amazing tournament, you know what I'm saying? But I didn't feel like it would be good for me to sit up here and try to educate y'all when I don't even know exactly how good each team is. I've been talking about, Juju and Paige and Caitlin and Angel Reese, and I've been talking about the big names, but there are so many more more like talented and deserving players that are playing the women's game today. Like I haven't even talked about really Hannah Hidalgo at all really on this podcast so far. I haven't talked about Cameron Brink over at Stanford. Like these women are super talented, and I don't want to come on here and not be able to give you guys the proper information when it comes to breaking down their matchups in the tournament. But when the tournament games finally do get rolling, I definitely will be here to talk about just everything that does happen, because we are in for a show, my man. We are in for a show. So let's go ahead. Let's talk about just our 1 seeds really quick in the women's tournament. Like, we're not going to talk about the men's game. I'm sorry. I don't care about men's college basketball. I don't even think it's so much my fault. Like, men's college basketball is not really like it's not as exciting as the women's game right now at all. Like, it's not even really close. Like, the women's game is so clearly above the men's game in terms of just like entertainability and just like watchability, and like they have that star power. Like, I really don't have any desire to sit down and watch, you know what I'm saying, even like a true blue blood game like a UNC Duke. I just don't have any desire to watch that. But yeah, so number 1 seed in the women's game, we have South Carolina, we have USC, we have Texas, and we have Iowa. So Juju and Caitlin Clark are both able to grab number 1 seeds in the tournament. Fortunately, that means we won't be able to get that matchup until, at the very least, I believe, the Final Four. So at least we know that neither of them will be knocking each other out prematurely. If we do get this matchup, it will be at the very best possible time in the tournament. And then we have South Carolina. You know, South Carolina's a juggernaut. I talked about them last episode, just by how they're able to bully teams and really just like make other teams bend to their will. And then Texas. Like, Texas is not a team that I know too much about, but for them to be a number 1 seed, they have to be immensely talented. So they definitely are a team that I will be keeping an eye on in the tournament, because, like I said, I'm super excited about this tournament. So I can't say that enough. And then we have the 3 seeds. We have LSU and we have UConn. So Paige and Angel Reese and Flau'jae and all of them, they're going to have to be coming out of kind of like a I guess not so much an underdog. At the 3 seed, you're not an underdog, but clearly they don't think that you're the best team in your region. So they're gonna have to probably shock a couple people if they want to see a Final Four. And then we have Hannah Hidalgo and the Notre Dame Fighting Irish at the 2 seed. I believe that they are in the same. I believe they are in the same part of the bracket as, I believe it's Texas. Oh, that's the women's game. I do believe it's Texas. Just give me 1 second. Yes. No, I'm sorry, South Carolina. They're in the same side of the bracket as South Carolina. So that will have to be a crazy, you know what I'm saying, competitive match that we will see between the two of them. But I don't want to get too much into it because, like I said, I don't want to sit up here and misinform you people. So we're going to go ahead and just cap our discussion for the women's game right there for today. But we will be back next week when things finally get rolling with the tournament. All right? So in NBA news, today we're going to talk about a team that I don't think has gotten the proper respect that they deserved. And in a particular player that I know for sure has been getting but disrespect really since last offseason. And that team's going to be the New Orleans Pelicans. Like, they're a team that even I have personally, you know what I'm saying, been I guess not really fully bought in on the idea of them being a really good team, but I really can't deny it anymore. This team is immensely talented. You know what I'm saying? Currently I believe they are the 5 seed in the Western Conference. Pull it up right here. All right, yeah. So currently they are the 5 seed in the Western Conference. They're a game back of the Clippers. And if you just watch how they've been playing really like the past 2 weeks or so, they've been playing some good basketball. Now, they've always been a team that you've always been like saying like, hey, if they're able to have all their guys play, if they're able to, you know, actually go out there and field a consistent lineup every single night, they could be a very good team. And we've seen, you know, in recent years when they've been healthy that they've been able to, you know what I'm saying, be a high seed. Like I believe a couple years ago before Zion got hurt, they were a 4 seed out there in the West. So they are a team that has immense talent, and like you have Zion and you have BI and everybody and CJ and the big names. But guys, like the names like Herb Jones, the names like Trey Murphy, the names like Najee Marshall, Jose Alvarado, these guys are true blue gamers. They're true blue gamers. Herb Jones is giving you 11 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists on 51% shooting. He's a 43% three-point shooter, which is huge on a team where, you know what I'm saying, B.I.'s not a huge three-point shooting guy, and Zion, you know, is a guy who's going to live in the paint. So you need to have players that are able to stretch the floor. She's also knocking down 85% of his free throws. And then you got Trey Murphy. Trey Murphy dealt with a little bit of injury coming into the season, but he's came in and he showed that he's probably one of the best fourth options in the entire NBA. You know what I'm saying? Trey Murphy gives you 14 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists on 45% from the field, 38 from 3, 77% from the line. Now, could he be more efficient? Absolutely. But for a guy who I think is only in his second or third year, Herb Jones also, these are two super, super young players. They came into the league and they were immediate like impact players. They, like I said, they are gamers. Like they are guys that you are not afraid to throw out there in any aspect at any point of the game. You think that if you had them on the floor, you greatly increase your chances of winning that game. And, you know, another thing that's really been standing out to me is the fact how Zion has really become a playmaker these last couple games. Zion has had, I believe, 2 games in the last, 10 or so where he had over 10 assists. You know what I'm saying? He's had multiple games where he's had over like 7 assists or so. So I think that Zion unlocking this playmaking aspect of it has only really like made that Pelicans team even more dangerous. And I haven't even talked about Brandon Ingram. Now, if you look at the stats for the New Orleans Pelicans players, nobody's points really jump off the board. Like BI is only giving you 21 points per game. 50% decent efficiency, 50% from the field, 36 from 3, 80% from the line. He's giving you 6 assists. Like they're having a solid season. Even Zion's only giving you 22, 5, and 5. You know, he's super efficient, almost shooting 60% from the field. He's even shooting decent from 3, 35% from the 3. He's actually been great from the free throw line recently. I believe for the season he's shooting 70%, but I think in the last 6 games or so he's shooting like in the 80 percentile when it comes to free throws. Like none of their numbers really jump off the page, but when you look at the full collection of talent that is on this roster, you see that you get 18 points from CJ McCollum, you see you get 14 from Trey, you see you get 12 from Jonas, you see you get where's Herb at? Where's Herb at? I can't find her. I believe you get another 11 points from Herb Jones. Like you can just see just how deep this team is, and when it comes to the playoffs, where lineups are going to be condensed, and like you're going to see the best players on the floor more often than not, you want to be able to say like, hey. As much as you want to be able to say, hey, I have the best, first, second, third best player on the team, you also want to be able to say, hey, I have the best seventh best player on the court. I have the best 8th option. I have the best 5th option, because the more advantage you have on your side of the court, the more you have a chance to win. And I think that when you're looking at a team like the Pelicans, who right now will be matched up with the Los Angeles Clippers, you can see that's a matchup that the Pelicans can clearly dominate. I think that actually the Pelicans have been dominating the matchup against the Clippers just in general. Let me just pull this up right here. I think that like they've won like the last couple games about them. That's not what I'm looking for. Where to go to like with the history? Yeah, history. Bow. Atlanta basketball. All right, so Pelicans win, Clippers win, Pelicans. Yeah, like the last 4 years, the Pelicans have really been dominating the Clippers. Like as I'm looking here really quick, the Clippers have only won 3 matchups, while the Pelicans have won 3, 6, like 9, 10 games. So this is clearly a team that the Pelicans are. The Pelicans are clearly a team that the Clippers struggle to match up with, and I don't blame them when you just look at all the talent that's on that side of the court for the Pelicans. And when I initially came up with the idea to talk about them, I really didn't want to harp on all the questions that they do have, but I feel like I wouldn't be doing my job if I was to bring up the fact that they do have a question to answer next offseason when it comes to Brandon Ingram, because Brandon Ingram is clearly a guy who you can say at this point in his career, he is a star. He's a very, very solid player. If you can have him be the best player on your team, and you guys have a decent team of being a playoff team, if he's the second best player on your team, then you guys can even potentially win a playoff series. But we haven't really been able to see, what it looks like. And thankfully this year we've had Zion healthy. He's played 56 games up to this point. Even Brandon Ingram, he's been healthy. I believe just last year he only played 61 games, and he's already up after 61 games played this year. And while the numbers don't pop off the page, you're starting to see just kind of like that synergy that kind of comes up, that is growing between him and Zion. But you also have to think that if our goal is to win an NBA championship, is Brandon Ingram going to be somebody that's going to be able to stick around, when that time does come? Because as you know, if you're going to be building a championship team, you want to have like one of the top 10 players in the league. And as of right now, I don't know if you can confidently say that Zion is a top 10 player in the league, and you definitely don't think that Brandon Ingram is a top 10 player in the league. So as you do look up and down this roster, and you do see all the talent, you see the Trey Murphys, you see the Herb Jones and the Larry Nances and all that, you do see where the potential is for this team. But at the same exact time, there's a serious chance that, somebody has to be the odd man out. Kind of like the situation that's going on in Houston, where, the Rockets are like trying to like make that transition to being a consistently a good team, a team that you're going to have to constantly worry about on a night-to-night basis. But it comes at the cost of having to potentially get rid of Jalen Green because he just doesn't fit in. You know what I'm saying? So for the Pelicans, I think that all this nonsense in the BS that's been bubbling up with Zion over the past offseason, and Stephen A. Smith coming out and calling him fat and saying that he saw his titty jiggling at the free throw line. Like, I just think that for this to be happening, for them to be playing this consistent at this level, and Zion in particular to be playing at this level right now, I couldn't be more happier for the team. Listen, Zion, let's just talk about it, bro. You had it rough for a couple of months. You had the shit come out, which, that the Prawn Star was coming out saying that she was about to have your baby. Niggas was already saying that you was just a corny ass dude. Like I said, Stephen A. really came out here. He really kind of ethered you, bro. Like, I ain't gonna lie. When Stephen A. came out and said that he saw Zion's titty jiggling at the free throw line during the in-season tournament, I think that was probably the most damning thing that's happened to Zion in the last 6 months. Like, even more than the bullshit with the girl, the lady on Twitter. Like, the fact that somebody as famous and popular as Stephen A., somebody who's already outspoken enough to say, oh, Zion's never in shape. I have sources that say that Zion is friends with every chef in New Orleans. It's like, to have this guy really just shitting on you on a night-to-night basis, and then you come out in the in-season tournament and you don't perform, at that level. Like, you can say you guys got your asses kicked by the Lakers in the in-season tournament. And that's just when you're a team that doesn't really get the opportunity to really broadcast yourself on national TV like that, for you to get the opportunity and for you to shit the bed, it just doesn't look good for, for the Pelicans, and look terrible for Zion as their best player. And to see Zion respond to this, I believe I saw a report that said that since that in-season tournament loss, Zion has lost 25 pounds. And you can see what him being able to move on the basketball court does for his ability. As I've watched Zion these last couple weeks, I just see he's explosive again. I can say at the beginning of this year, he kind of looked like he had a flat tire. Whenever he would try to jump, he wouldn't quite bounce off the floor like how he usually does. But since the All-Star break, he's had that bounce in his step. You kind of can see that he's been reinvigorated. He's been, he has that fire in his eyes. You saw the other day against the Clippers, he catches the ball with 3.5 seconds left, goes the full length of the court, lays it in, and he's just hyped, celebrating. Because you could just see this is what he wants. He hears all the chatter. He hears people always trying to call him out of his name. People always trying to tie him back to food and make all these fat jokes. And Zion is probably the most criticized, Zion's body is the most criticized body in probably North America right now. Probably even so much more than Lizzo. Just because Lizzo, she hasn't even been in the fucking picture like that as of recently. But with this just being basketball season and Zion being who he is and having all this other nonsense surrounding his name, he's just been scrutinized at every fucking angle. And it's just to see him, I'm repeating myself here, but to see him respond, it's just good for you, bro. And I think that going forward, I hope that this kind of reminds people that just the hype that around Zion, it wasn't there for no reason. Like, it wasn't that we just thought that Zion was great because he was like able to just dunk, like, jump off the floor and all that. Like, we honestly believe that Zion was a generational talent who's had the ability to take a team, to lead a franchise to a championship. And I still think he is that player. I still think that player does exist. I just think that there's going to have to be a couple of changes around the New Orleans Pelicans that are going to happen first if we want to be able to see Zion in that light. If I had to be honest with you, probably CJ would have to go. CJ, if you want to keep Brandon, you can keep Brandon, but you cannot keep CJ also. I think that CJ's contract is too big. Let me just look real quick how much CJ McCollum makes, because I think his contract is pretty good. His contract. CJ McCollum signed a 3-year, $100 million contract with the Portland Trail Blazers, so it's actually not terrible. It's $33 million a year, though, and it's $35 million this year. And then he also signed an extension with the Pelicans that's going to pay them $33 million. He's going to get paid $33 million next year and then $30 million the year after. So, I don't know. Like, I understand what the Pelicans are going for in terms of them being, like, this competitive team. Like, they are a good team, but if they want to be a great team, they're going to have to chop some of these guys they like. Like, I know that, like, I'm glad they were able to tie up Trey Murphy. They were able to tie up Herb Jones for a couple of years. But them paying CJ McCollum $30 million when he's going to be, how old is CJ McCollum going to be? When CJ McCollum is going to be fucking 34 years old. I think there's a better allocation of funds that can take place if what we want is for the Pelicans to win a championship. But like I said, I'm not going to sit up here and be a Debbie Downer. Shout out to the Pels, 41-26, 5th seed in the West. Keep climbing, fellas. When it comes to them getting into the playoffs, as it currently states, I can see them definitely beating this version of the Los Angeles Clippers. The Clippers are looking really bad, man. Like, and it's I hate to say it, like, but I kind of saw it coming. Like, I was the person who, like, when the James Harden trade went down, I was like, why did the Clippers go out their way to, ruin their team like that? I feel like they had a good thing going when it was just PG, Kawhi, Russ. Like, I feel like they had a good thing going in the beginning of the season, but they add James and they go through that little rut at the very beginning of, the James Harden era, and I'm just like, what was the point of destroying your team like that? What was the point of destroying the team chemistry? Now you got, guys have to get in all new positions and then they flip it around. They come in and they start, really putting it on teams. I believe they start going they win like 14 of the next 20 games, and you're just like, oh shit, my fault, Clippers. But as the All-Star game came and passed, you just started to see the cracks in this team. Westbrook goes down. Zubac missed a couple games. Paul George is going through that fucking struggle. James Harden has been getting worse as the months go by. It's just the Clippers are going to clip. But I'm not here to talk about the Clippers right now. So we're actually going to ignore them, and we're going to roll on to another Western Conference team. I realize that when I do these episodes, I end up talking a lot about the Western Conference. And it's really just because the Western Conference is so much more entertaining than the Eastern Conference. Like, in the East, the only things that are really exciting that are going down right now is, you got the Celtics are dominating shit. You got the Bucks are, they're kind of figuring it out with the whole Damian Giannis thing. The Knicks, they have been fighting health and all that, but in the Orlando Magic out here potentially being a top 4 seed in the East, that's probably the only exciting stories we have out East, because really everybody else in the East is either banged up or just kind of ass. Like, you got the Sixers, they're beat up. The Pacers have been beat up all year. Tyrese Halliburton has completely fallen off from his All-NBA pace because he's struggling to, hit 65 games. And I'm actually going to touch on that just for a split second. There's no reason for you to force yourself to play 65 games. Like, if your body cannot get you 65 games, like, I understand, like, he probably has a financial aspect of it to his contract if he makes an All-NBA team. But, bro, since you've been fucking playing injured, you've only been averaging, like, 15 points per game. The excitement around the team is gone. Like, that Cinderella run has come and went. And now you guys are, like, still kind of dragging your feet through the process, because now you're trying to get to 65 games when it's like, yo, Reese, just get healthy, bro. Just get healthy. Like, the whole Pascal thing, I don't think it's working. I'm not gonna say that was a mistake of a trade, but it hasn't quite panned out just yet in terms of like what they wanted it to be. But to see Tyrese come out here and be a shell of himself on the offensive floor, I believe I saw a post where it said that he's shooting like 11% from three in his last like 4 or 5 games. I'm just like, this is not Tyrese Halliburton, bro. And when people are like, why is he out there? They just say he's trying to get to 65, and I'm just like, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense because as it currently states, I don't even think I have Tyrese in my All NBA teams because of how he's played. Because he really hasn't been, you know what I'm saying, that guy since December. And here we are now in March, and things have happened, and players get better and players get worse, and we have them shuffling and movement around the top of the All NBA teams. And then and that's just the end of it. You know what I'm saying? Like it could just be gone in an instant. So Reese, get healthy, man. For real, get healthy. All this other nonsense, it's just not worth it. But let me go ahead and roll on to what I was going to talk about. We're going to talk about the Oklahoma City Thunder. Yes. So actually, a couple years ago, I made a video on this channel, and I believe it was titled "I Love the Oklahoma City Thunder Rebuild." And here we are 2 years later, and they are the number 1 seed in the West. They're 47-20. They have a better record than the defending champion Denver Nuggets. Shai Alexander is making a legit MVP case and showing just how much he has came, just how much further he has came as a player since he got traded to OKC. He's putting up numbers of almost 31 points per game, 6 assists, 6 rebounds, 2 steals, and a block on 54, 37, 88 shooting split. The guy is playing out of his fucking mind, and if you watch him, he truly is unguardable. 31 points, 6 rebounds, 6 assists. The part that really like bolsters his MVP case to me has to be the two steals and the 1 block. This is a guard. This is a point guard, mind you. Now, don't get me wrong. SGA is a stringy, tall point guard. You know what I'm saying? He has like the long arms. He has the big hands. Like he has all the attributes that make sense as to why he is a good defender. But for your point guard to be coming and giving you 2 points and 1 block a game, like you'll take that. Like I feel like shot blocking guards don't really get the love that the love and respect that they deserve. Like the Kobe Bryant. Kobe was a good shot blocking shooting guard. D Wade was arguably the best shot blocking guard of all time. John Wall was an amazing shot blocking point guard. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I think that it's really impressive when your point guard is able to sit down in a chair and to lock down possessions, because as exciting as it is when your center, you know what I'm saying, swats a shot to the sidelines and the entire crowd goes up, it's even more exciting when your point guard is able to sit in a chair, or they're able to come over and they're able to block a shot, recover it, and we're able to get into instant transition. You know what I'm saying? So, and then you add the fact that J-Dub is having this second season leap. And I ain't gonna lie, just before this episode, I went back and I looked at the 2022 NBA draft, and that draft is pretty solid in terms of like NBA players that are, you know what I'm saying, in it. Like you had Paolo was drafted there, Chet was drafted there, Jabari Smith was drafted there, J-Dub was drafted there, Benedict Mathurin, Jaden Ivey, like some really quality NBA players were taken in that 2022 overall draft. And for J-Dub to come out here and he was a 14 point per game player in his rookie year, and you come in super excited, super hype, and the amount of times that we have seen players have amazing rookie seasons and they come in for their second season, they kind of hit that rookie wall. That second season wall. For him to come through and really to just kind of like put himself in position to arguably be the most improved player. You're looking at 19 points per game, 4 rebounds, 5 assists. The guy's a stat sheet stuffer. He gives you a steal and a block a game, and he's efficient as hell. He's 50, 40, 80. Almost, 82% from the line. If he were a better free throw shooter, he would be easily 50, 40, 90. You know what I'm saying? He shoots 45% from the 3-point line. Like he's an amazingly efficient player. And he's recently gotten like some, I guess we'll call it hate on social media, because a guy said that he was a top 15 or 20 player in the league. And while he may not be that yet, you can see the guy is trending in that direction. And unfortunately, I don't want it to be the fact that J-Dub ends up being a guy who never properly gets his flower because he plays with a great player like SGA, you know what I'm saying, and a super, super talented player like Chet Holmgren, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want the facts to get lost that J-Dub in his own right is an amazing player. Like, he's able to facilitate an offense, he's able to run the offense, even when Shai is on the floor. You know what I'm saying? He's become a more improved passer. Him and Chet's, you know what I'm saying, I guess that'll be the 3-4 pick and roll game, has been incredible. Or I guess it will be 4-5. He plays the 4, I'm pretty sure. But J-Dub and Chet's 4-5 pick and roll game has been super impressive, you know what I'm saying, the latter half of the season. So and then I'll be remiss if I didn't bring up the fact that Chet Holmgren legit had people thinking that he had a chance to be the rookie of the year over that freak in San Antonio. Like, people legit thought that there was a real possibility that Chet Holmgren would potentially, you know what I'm saying, be good enough to win that award over Victor Wembanyama. Like, so that's not to take away from the fact that Chet is having an amazing rookie season. Now, I understand it's his second year, whatever, but he's giving you 17 points, 8 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 blocks, and a steal as a first-year player. Like, that's his first year playing. That's super impressive, bro. That shouldn't be, that's nothing that shouldn't be understated. You know what I'm saying? He's coming and giving you 54% from the field, 39% from 3, 79% from the line. Like, he's come in and been an instant impact player. And for the OKC Thunder to be a team that was projected to be, you know what I'm saying, we weren't sure if they were even going to make the playoffs. Like, we knew for sure they would be a play-in team. We were hoping that they would be good enough to, you know, get into that 7 to 10 range and, you know, maybe even get to that 7 to 8 seed and, you know, get into a playoff run. And for them to have taken that and turned it into 47 and 20 first seed in the West, and to see the amount of fucking hate that this team gets makes no sense to me, bro. It makes absolutely no sense. Like, do we even like the fucking sport of basketball anymore, bro? This is a young, exciting team. They don't even really talk shit the same way how the Memphis Grizzlies did a couple years ago. Remember when the Grizzlies, before, you know what I'm saying, when Ja was like in his second year, and Desmond Bane and Dylan Brooks, and they were still doing the dance and shit, and like, it was just before it's the parade inside my city, and niggas was just like, yo, we fuck with these young niggas. They are cool. They are exciting. I like the way how they dunk. I like the way how they talk shit. I like how they go at people's heads every single game. And then out of nowhere, the entire world turned against them. And it became, then this team needs to be humbled. Somebody needs to shut these guys up. Somebody needs to put these guys in their place. And it's like, what the hell? When did it become a bad thing to be young, inexperienced, and you know, I guess, when did it become a bad thing to be young and fiery? I'll say. I'm not even going to put the inexperienced part, because I understand where inexperience could be a negative factor in the NBA. But when was it a bad thing to be a young, fiery team? Like, people are coming out here saying that SGA is a free throw merchant because he's able to get to the line. They're saying that J-Dub is gay because he be out here celebrating his mans. It's just like, bro, what are we doing? And I feel like every single week I sit down in this chair and I record this show, and I end up at one point or another talking about, damn, why does basketball fans hate basketball? But it's going to be a question until I guess I stop fucking seeing it. And I guess I got to get the fuck off Twitter, because, my nigga, why do we hate basketball so much? Why do we hate the fact that this young team that wasn't even supposed to be anywhere near where they're supposed to be is now battling for first place with the defending champions of the NBA? Now, don't get me wrong. There are a lot of questions that needs to be answered about this team as we go into the playoffs. Like, there's a legit chance that they do get upset. You know what I'm saying? There's a legit chance that they are not quite ready to be in this spotlight just yet. But, my man, we got to at least just celebrate them while they're here, man. Let's just be excited for the guys while they're there. SGA got traded in his second year to OKC, to a team that, you know what I'm saying, that team was rebuilding. OKC was rebuilding for the first time in their franchise's history. You know what I'm saying? Since they got to OKC from Seattle, they have had an MVP caliber player every step of the way. They had KD for a year, then they added Russ, then they added James Harden. You know what I'm saying? They lose James Harden, they had KD and Russ for years. Then KD leaves, they still have Russ for years. Then they trade Russ and they bring in SGA, who at the time people are like, we know that he's solid. We know that he's been a super solid player. He was super solid in the playoffs for that Clippers team. But he gets to Oklahoma City, and then you really get to see in that year one with Chris Paul just how skilled he actually is, and you really get to see the possibilities around him. And then they lose Chris Paul, and then it's just the SGA show, and they have the down years where they were terrible. They were terrible. Like before last year, like before they made the play-in, they were fucking dog shit. They were dog shit. Like they were putting out some really egregious lineups that had like I believe they had that dude Vivich, and they had Jeremiah Robinson Earl, and they had what's that dude's name? Oh my god, I'm freaking blanking on his name. But the big doofy light skinned dude, Baisley, they have Baisley, and they're just putting out just like a bad product, but they were exciting, and you kind of saw the direction as to where they were heading. And then you see them just add the vital pieces. You see them add Lou Dort and Josh Giddey a couple years ago, and then you see them add J-Dub last year, and then you see them add fucking Chet, and you're just like, wait a minute. One thing leads to another, and now we're looking at one of the best young teams in all of basketball, while also being one of the youngest teams in all of basketball, right? So how is it that we can find it in our hearts to say that this team needs to be humbled, bro? How can we say that? How can we say that they need to be humble when they've done nothing but be a model of consistency in the NBA? We've seen many times where teams come in young and exciting, and they're just like a roller coaster. They have highs and they have lows. This team has consistently been running on a high the entire season. Even through injury, even through J-Dub injury, even through the Josh Giddey, you know what I'm saying, weird shit going on with him. Even through fucking Chet Holmgren wearing a do-rag, they were able to see and focus on the mission. And you could just see that the way how Mark Dagnall and the way how Shai Gilgeous-Alexander has his team running, you like, yo, anything's possible for these young boys. Legitimately, anything is possible for these young boys. And listen, I don't want to beat a dead horse. I just think that we honestly need to just reevaluate what's important to us when it comes to the sport of basketball, man. Hate on this level doesn't make sense. Like, there are some legit niggas that you can hate on in the NBA. Like, there are some legit people that you can hate on in the NBA. There's no reason for you to hate on the Oklahoma City Thunder. It's just it's pointless, bro. It's pointless. But that puts the close on the OKC portion of the episode. So let's go ahead and let's roll on to what will probably take the most amount of time here. We're going to break down my 2024 award winners list. Now, I've done this a couple years ago, so I think I'm going to try to make this a tradition. I did it in 22. I didn't do it in 23. So here we are back in 24, and every single year going forward, around this time, around we get to the last 15, 20 games of the season, I'll sit down, I will make a ballot, and I ain't gonna lie to you, it's gonna look a little bit different from the NBA ballot, because I think that the NBA's version of these awards has kind of lost a lot of its luster. I think that the most improved player really kind of just goes for the person who goes from being, it really just goes to the person who makes the biggest leap scoring wise. And while I understand that is the basis of the award, most improved, for example, I think that Tyrese Maxey is the favorite to win that award this year. And while I'm not gonna say that he hasn't improved, but Tyrese Maxey last year wasn't he was a player that everybody knew was a very, very vital piece for that Sixers team. You know what I'm saying? Now, I understand that they lose James Harden this year. They trade him away, and that creates a bigger opportunity for Tyrese Maxey, and he fits in like a glove. But while that is an improvement, I don't think that's the most improved player of the entire league, because he was already an established star, and now he's just kind of getting more opportunity. But we're going to go ahead. We're going to go down our award list here. And then we're also going to go and talk about all NBA teams. I did take into account that some players either have been eliminated or will be eliminated from winning these awards due to injuries or whatever. So we'll talk about that when we get there. So we're going to start from the bottom up. We'll go with most improved. All right. So the most improved player in the NBA this year. for me, it has to be Jonathan Kuminga. I think Jonathan Kuminga went from, I believe, averaging 14 points per game last year to, I believe, 19 points per game this year. Let me actually just double check that one time, because I think actually I might be thinking about J-Dub stats. But yeah, Jonathan Kuminga, man, just like even when the season started, bro, you kind of just saw that, like, it seemed like Steve Kerr still didn't trust him to, really, like, have him be that guy on the floor. There wasn't many opportunities for him. Like, he was still a player that, honestly, I thought would end up being used as trade bait, because, like, it just didn't seem like there would ever be a time where so he actually went from 9 points per game last year to 16 points per game this year. You know what I'm saying? So when he was actually given an opportunity, he was actually given a path to actually play on the court. He has shown that, like, he is dangerous really in many aspects of the floor. Like, he is that great slasher. He has very, very good defensive I'm not fundamentals. He has very good defensive attributes. He has the long arms. He's super quick. He's able to get out into the field. He can leap. He can jump. And he's really just like came into his own as a scorer this past season. Like, I think that in recent years you kind of just saw, like, just how raw his game was. But during the course of this season, I've seen him actually, like, get into, like, his bags. Like, I see him do post spins. I've seen him do, face up in the mid post and do pull ups and do fadeaway shots. And, like, you kind of just really get to see just the full skill set when it comes to Jonathan Kuminga. So I think that when you go for a guy who was struggling to make minutes, the guy who was struggling to find actually, like, his role on the team, a guy who at one point you thought was going to be trade bait, for him to come out here and to really prove that he kind of is, he has really become, like, Golden State's second option this year. Like, with Klay Thompson taking that step back, with Draymond Green never really being that offensive guy, and with them trading Jordan Poole away, they needed a guy who's going to be able to come in and score points. And while Paz has done a great job of Brandon Podemski, he's coming in and a great job of being a plus for this team, I think that without Jonathan Kuminga's ascension, this season would have been lost long ago. Now, and I still don't think they're going to have an amazing end of the season, but I think that they are way better off for the future with Jonathan Kuminga playing how he's playing now. Like I say, he's shooting 53% from the floor. He's shooting 32% from three. So you just got to think, as he's able to actually play games with Steph Curry, he's able to actually play with Draymond and everything, he can only get more dangerous. So shout out to Jonathan Kuminga, our most improved player in the 2024 Joe Basketball Association Awards. Our runners up for this award are going to be Dante DiVincenzo and J-Dub, just because, both of them are both having crazy seasons. Like, there's been various times on this throughout this season after the Julius Randle injury where Dante DiVincenzo was the best offensive player on the floor for the Knicks. And that's saying a lot, because Jalen Brunson has been playing MVP basketball the entire season. There's been times where Dante DiVincenzo has been the best offensive player on the Knicks. You know what I'm saying? He's a 40% shooter this year. His scoring is up. He's gotten just like that much improved role than what he had last year. And he was in Golden State last year. And, like, just for him, like, you could just see that without him being who he is, he along with Josh Hart, along with Brunson, like that Villanova core, they really pushed the tempo of what the Knicks like to do. You know what I'm saying? DiVincenzo being that gritty defender, Josh Hart being that gritty defender, Jalen Brunson being that bulldog on the offensive end. Like, it all kind of just molds and makes sense as to why the Knicks are where they are. And even with them dealing with them, if their injuries, they are getting healthy around the right time. I wouldn't be surprised if this team actually would be able to win a first round playoff series. I know in the last episode I said they probably cap out at a first round exit, but with them getting healthy, and I know they do have the OG Anunoby flare up again. He came back for a couple games, but his elbows ended up actually hurt again. It just goes to show you, like, this team is deep when it comes to talent, and if they are ever able to actually, like, play on the court consistently at the same time, there's no reason to think that they can't at least win a first round series and potentially even make a conference finals. But that's to be seen, and we've already talked about J-Dub. I've already talked about how great I feel about J-Dub's ascension here in year 2. Coach of the year actually was super tough for me, man. It was super tough for me because I think that the guy who I have as the runner-up, he was the guy who I felt like was the winner of it up until You know what I'm saying? This morning, and I really sat down, I thought about it, and I was like, wow, the guy who actually should win this award, like, there's no reason why he shouldn't win it, because his team literally did not have the his team was not supposed to be anywhere near where they are right now. And that team is going to be, or that coach is going to be Mark Daigneault of the OKC Thunder. But, and I kind of talked about Mark Daigneault and his job that he did in the last segment, so I won't really rehash it too much. But for them to go from a team that was not supposed to be, that was supposed to be fighting for a play-in spot, and now they are clearly entrenched in the number one spot, with a potential chance to be the number one seed going into the Western playoffs. I think it's really hard not to give that guy the Coach of the Year award. But who I will give his credit, in addition to Chris Finch, because what Chris Finch did in Minnesota should not also be understated either. For them to go from AC last year to fighting for the first seed this year, like, shout out to them. But what Jamal Mosley has been able to do with the Orlando Magic, like what he's been able to do with the Orlando Magic is honestly incredible. This is a team that just a couple years ago was last in the Eastern Conference. They looked like they had no direction. They had just traded away their best players. They traded away Vucevic. They traded away Aaron Gordon. They bring in fucking Markelle Fultz, who at the time is a broken player. And you kind of just see for the next couple years that they're nothing. Like, we're waiting for Jonathan Isaac to come back, and we're just like, is Wendell Carter ever going to become something? And like, now they have Gary Harris, and you see them just add pieces here and there. Like, you see them add Cole Anthony, and they add Franz, and you see Jalen Suggs, and you don't really dawn on you until you get to the 2022 draft, where they see Paolo Banchero coming out of Duke, and you're just like, huh, he's decent, but will that game be able to translate and dominate in the NBA? And the answer is abso-fucking-lutely it can. Paolo Banchero was the missing piece that the Orlando Magic needed to actually be a competitive basketball team for probably the first time in a decade. Year 2 for Paolo has looked like this: 23 points per game, 7 rebounds per game, 5 assists per game, shooting 46% from the floor, 37% from 3, and he's a 71% free throw shooter. Man, Paolo came in and was just what the doctor ordered. He was that first option that the team needed. They needed a face. They needed somebody who they could build their identity around. And here comes this dude with all his swagger and all his moxie and his bully ball mentality. And you're just like, yeah. And Jamal Mosley, he's able to come up here and, like, coming into the season, he had a lot of decisions to make surrounding his team. Like, it's another team that, you know what I'm saying, you thought that they would be competing for a playing spot, but here they are in the 5th seed in the East fighting for that 4th seed with the Knicks. Like, shout out to the Orlando Magic. But coming into this season, Jamal Mosley had so many guards. He had so many guards, and you weren't sure what to do with all of them. You had Cole Anthony and Markelle and Jalen Suggs, and they draft Anthony Black, and you're just like, damn, like, who's gonna stay, who's gonna go? And for Jamal Mosley to be able to sit up here and, like, have people like Jalen Suggs kind of break out and kind of set that mold for himself. Jalen Suggs has been an amazing player. I'm not sure if he qualifies for the 6th Man of the Year award, so I believe he's been a starter for a good portion of the season. But he's found himself a role, being that defensive pest, being somebody who's a more than capable 3-point shooter on the perimeter. Like, he's found his mold. Cole Anthony has been consistently has shown that he is a very solid NBA player. Franz Wagner and Mo Wagner also. I'm glad I didn't forget about Big Mo. The Wagner brothers, like, it all just fits now. And for the first time in this decade or so, it all kind of just makes sense as to where the Orlando Magic are, like, who are their pieces, who's going to be the face of their team going forward. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to Jamal Mosley, even though he was the runner-up of the award. You doing a great job, brother. Doing a great job over there in Orlando. And shout out to Mark Daigneault for winning Coach of the Year. All right, so then we're going to go to our 6th Man of the Year award. So for the 6th Man of the Year award, I have Malik Monk. I think that Malik Monk has had a super solid season for the Sacramento Kings. Let me pull up the stats here really quickly. For a Sacramento team that has not been super exciting, has definitely been had like I guess a small drop off from what they did last year. For Malik Monk to come up here, he was giving you 16 points per game, 82% from the line. He's giving you 37% from three, 45% from the floor. I'm glad that Malik Monk was able to reinvent his career after, everything that happened in Charlotte. Because when he was in Charlotte, you really just saw him as a guy that was just like, you saw that he had some talent. You saw that he had the freakish athleticism. You saw that there was potential to be there, but the Hornets aren't a real basketball team. So for him to go to the Lakers for that 1 year and to show like, hey, like I'm not just like wasted potential that's just been sitting there in Charlotte for the last 4 years. Like I am a legit basketball player. And then for him to go and to parlay that into a contract with the Kings, where last year he's able to win Sixth Man of the Year. He also wins the Most Improved Player. Like he. Shout out to Malik Monk, man. Shout out to Malik Monk. You have overcome the curse of the Charlotte Hornets, my brother. I didn't even have a runner-up for this award, so just shout out to you, bro. My nigga. All right. And now we're going to get to the coup de grace. We have our final 2 awards here before we get to All-NBA. So, we have the Defensive Player of the Year awards. Now, the Defensive Player of the Year is kind of weird to me because there's so many different ways to calculate what makes a defensive player great. It really depends on what you value on the floor. Like, if you're somebody who cares about blocks, it'll be blocks. If you're somebody who cares about steals, it'll be steals. If you're somebody who cares about field goal percentage, it'll be field goal percentage. If you're somebody who cares about advanced numbers, it'll be advanced numbers. And for me, I'm not somebody who really puts, I guess I don't put over too much stock into any one thing, because like as much as I love Wemby's blocks, it was not enough for me to put him as Defensive Player of the Year. As much as I love Rudy Gobert's field goal percentage, like the way how he's able to just deter shots at the rim, it wasn't enough for me to put them as my Defensive Player of the Year. The way how Anthony Davis is able to just shut down an entire floor with his athleticism and how he's able to switch and all that alone was not enough for me to make him Defensive Player of the Year. It was a combination of all these things, and then of course the ultimate test was the eye test. Like, I'm not somebody who is crazy big into analytics. I don't really like put too much, stock into them. I'm somebody who I just watch the games and I go by off what I see, like what I go with what my basketball knowledge, like what I think is a good offensive player. And I think that like I have a pretty good sense of, like what's going on the basketball court. So, but for this one time, I did look at on-off numbers, and it did kind of help paint the picture for me for when it comes to my Defensive Player of the Year award. So I guess let's start with our runner-up. So our runner-up for Defensive Player of the Year was none other than Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis is having an amazing defensive year on a team when the Lakers are not a great defensive team, and then when he's not out there, you really just see how much of a shitty defensive team they really are. Like, you really don't understand just how much Anthony Davis makes up for the Lakers until he's not there anymore. You know what I'm saying? Until you actually have to have lineups where Jackson Hayes is your big, and now you're trying to, kind of have him emulate what AD does. He can't. He doesn't have what it takes. And while AD has he has everything in the eye test passing him. If you look at his stats are super good too. Let me just go here right here. It is stats. All right, he's giving you 12 rebounds per game. He's giving you 2 blocks per game. He's giving you a steal per game, and then you also have to just account for the fact that things that don't show up on a stat sheet, like the deflections he creates, like the way how he's able to just single-handedly shut down a pick and roll by himself. He can switch out to both the guard and take away a 3-point shot and a dribble drive. He can also get back and recover to a diving big. He's one of the best help side defenders in the league. But I guess for me, the reason why I wasn't able to give him the Defensive Player of the Year award is just the fact that like there are more deserving people in terms of the on-off numbers. So the on-off numbers when AD is on the floor and the Lakers, his stats when he's on the floor compared to when he's off the floor. So when AD's on the floor, teams shoot 17% worse right? Or not 70% worse, like 1.17% worse. And where am I looking at here? And the offensive rating goes down to 113, right? And while those are great numbers, I don't think they really jump off the page the way how I thought they would. And maybe I'm just reading the whole advanced stats thing wrong. But when I look at those advanced stats, when I look at those on-off numbers and I apply it to the eye test that is when you watch the Lakers, I don't know, it's weird. They don't really add up. And I guess that to me was enough for me to not give him the award. But I guess let me just stop beating around the bush. Let me just come out and say it. The person who I do have as my defensive player of the year this year is Victor Wembanyama. Victor Wembanyama, man, rookie year, defensive player of the year in my world. He has played incredible. And really the thing that, you know what I'm saying, you've seen the games where he's had 10 blocks or 7 blocks or 6 blocks or 5 blocks. The fact that he's able to erase shots at the rim the way how he is, the way how he's able to, he doesn't really so much deter shots really at the rate that Rudy Gobert does, but he's just able to constantly have that be in the back of your mind that hey, if I put this shot up, I gotta be careful for that fucking arm that might come around the top and ruin everything we're trying to do here. But yeah, man, the defining factor for me for Wemby was the on-off stats, because when the Spurs are without Wemby, they're probably the worst defensive team of all time. No bullshit. The offensive ratings for teams when Wemby's not on the court is 122 points per game. Or 122. That's not points per game, but it's 122 when Wemby's off the court. But when Wemby's on the court, their offensive rating goes down to 114. It's almost a 10-point drop just because one man enters the game. Field goal percentage. When Wemby's off the court, teams shoot almost 58% from the floor against the Spurs. When he's off the floor, they shoot 55%. Where are we at here? Blocks for the Spurs. When he's off the court, the Spurs only block about 8 shots per game. When Wemby's on the court, they block 14 shots per game. That's literally probably just Wemby. If we're being real, for the most part, he those extra blocks are just Wemby's 5, 6, 7 that he's adding almost at a nightly basis at this point. And while he's got Rookie of the Year locked up, I realized I didn't even put that on my list here. Victor Wembanyama is also the Rookie of the Year. But when you tie that into the fact that when his impact when he's on the floor with the Spurs and compared to when he's off the floor, and his biggest competition probably for, in the real award race is Rudy Gobert. Rudy Gobert's on and off numbers do not look like how Victor's look. They don't look how Victor's look. So going off the eye test, going off the fact that Victor's only playing 30 minutes per game. Once Victor goes into playing, 34, 35 minutes per game, my man, these numbers are going to look like chump change. So I'm just calling it while we're ahead here. Victor Wembanyama is my 2024 Defensive Player of the Year. All right. And last but not least, the MVP award. There are some very deserving candidates for who should deserve MVP this year. Let's just take a look at SGA. SGA is putting up 30.9 points per game, 6 rebounds per game, 6 steals per game, 6 rebounds, 6 assists, 2 steals, 1 block on 54, 37, 88 splits. I've already talked about SGA a little bit earlier, but those are incredible numbers, and if we're comparing those numbers to Nikola Jokic, while Jokic has had some outrageous stat games this year, do not get me wrong. If you look at Jokic's stats for the season, they really don't jump off the page to you. You got 25.9 points, 12.2 rebounds, 9.1 assists on 58% from the field, 35% from 3, 83% from the line, and a true effective field goal percentage of 61%. Those are great numbers. And you also, but when I take into the fact that Nikola Jokic's team is better, without a doubt. I think that the Nuggets are probably the best team in the entire NBA. You know what I'm saying? If you want to argue with the Celtics, but they're definitely the best team in the West. For the Thunder to be keeping pace with them, really just solely off the strength of the fact that Shai is so consistent. The fact that Shai has the most 30-point games in Oklahoma City Thunder history. I believe he's up to like 47 now, 46, 47 now. He passed Kevin Durant a little while ago. When you look at Jokic's numbers, they really don't jump off the page, you know what I'm saying, the way you would think so. But somebody whose numbers who do jump off the page is Giannis's. Because if we're being real, Giannis is having probably his best season ever. And that's saying a lot because the guy is a two-time MVP. Giannis this year is averaging 31 points, 11 rebounds, 6 assists on 62% from the field, shooting like shit from threes. We won't even talk about it. And 67% from the line. So while his shooting splits are not going to be the greatest, he has been super efficient at the rim like he always is. He's putting up a career high in points at 31 points per game. I believe he's also putting up a career high in a career high in assists at 6.4 assists per game. And this is all while he's been dealing with the bullshit of having Adrian Griffin as his coach, and now he has Doc Rivers as his coach. He's been having to deal with the ups and downs that is Damian Lillard, and he's also been having to put up the fact that his team hasn't been able to defend for more than half the season. So he's really had to just like put it all on his shoulders, but I don't think that Jokic has the team success that I would want to put him as the MVP of the league. Like I said, he's been doing fantastic, but I just don't think he has got that team success. So, the MVP of the league in the year 2024, and I really hope this does happen because I want nothing more than for people to be upset that this man is not only one of the best young players of all time, not only that he's better than probably your favorite young player, not named Luka Doncic, and the fact that fucking free throw merchants just keep fucking winning MVPs. MVP this year is going to be Shai, most likely, at least in my book. If the OKC is able to win that first seed out west, I don't see a world how you don't give it to Shai. Like Jason Tatum, you can take a look at the team's success, but his stats do not. Nobody's stats jump off the page how Shai's does except for Giannis. Like you got averaging almost 31 points per game, 6 assists, 6 rebounds, 2 steals and a block from your point guard, and he's ridiculously efficient. He's probably having, I think, his best 3-point shooting season ever. So shout out to Shai. Hopefully this is my man's first. He's okay. He's shooting a career best from 3 since his rookie season. So, shout out to Shai. Hopefully, we're seeing him win his first MVP this season. And let's go ahead and we'll roll over on to our All NBA team. So, All NBA teams. I'm not sure just how deep into this I want to go, only because I'm not quite sure how these things will stick as we get into the later points of the season. But we'll go ahead and we'll start with our All-NBA first team. I have Shai, Luka, Jason Tatum, Giannis, and Jokic. With Joel Embiid being eliminated, that opened up a spot for Jason Tatum probably deciding there and to get that spot, because if it wasn't for Jason Tatum, if it wasn't for Joel Embiid being hurt, I'd probably go Shai, Luka, Giannis, Jokic, Embiid. Yeah. All right. All NBA second team. We're going with the first team though, right? That's not controversial. We're all good on that one. All right, cool. All NBA second team. I got Jalen Brunson, Anthony Edwards, Kevin Durant. Karl-Anthony Towns hasn't been eliminated just yet. So if he's able to be underneath the limit, I got Karl-Anthony Towns at the 4. If not, then I have Rudy Gobert taking that spot. And then at the center for All NBA second team center, I have Domantas Sabonis. Domantas Sabonis is on a crazy double streak right now. I believe he's had like 50 in a row. Like he's tweaked out. So yeah, man, you got to give the man respect is due. The Sacramento Kings, like I said, they're a team who every time I talk about them, I talk about how they're not having the greatest season compared to last year. But man, you have a guy who is dominating on a night-to-night basis, and they're still going to be probably safely entrenched into where they are in the play-in. So Sabonis, shout out to you, All NBA second team center. And the All-NBA third team, which is probably the only place where actually I had some controversy. So, for our First guard, I have Tyrese Maxey. All right. So this is where we hit our first piece of controversy. All NBA third team point guard, or second guard. I put down De'Aaron Fox. I think I'm going to change my mind. I'm going to put Stephen Curry for that spot, just because I think that when you look at De'Aaron and Steph's stats, they're so similar. I believe they're both putting up 27 points per game. I believe De'Aaron has a couple more rebounds, a couple more assists. But when you take into account that Steph's team has been really dog shit the entire season, he's had to really drag these teams. He's been having to deal with, Draymond getting suspended, Klay Thompson having his identity crisis, Andrew Wiggins dealing with what he's dealing with, Steve Kerr fucking hates Jonathan Kuminga. Like, he's had to overcome all this just for them to kind of keep their head above water. And really, they're really in the same kind of position as the Kings. So I don't think that, like, you're crazy to put one over the, like, I think it's so close that, it's not too crazy to put one over the other. So all NBA third team second guard, I have Stephen Curry. For the forward position, I have LeBron James. For the other forward position, this is also where I had some controversy, and I actually had to go to Twitter to talk about it. So me personally, and maybe this is just the Glazer in me, I thought that it made sense for me to put Wemby at the all NBA third team other forward, right? Just because you look at the on-off numbers and you look at how he's performed since January. He's been nothing short of generational since January. He's been nothing short of generational for almost 3 months. And while the person who I did put ahead of him is very deserving, he hasn't been generational. And so the all-NBA third team forward, the second forward, is Paolo Banchero. But it was so close to being Wemby, bro, because Wemby has been generational since January. Just the amount of 30-point games. He's been a rebounding monster. He's been blocking shots like crazy. He's also been dunked on a lot, but like you could just so clearly see what the vision is for this guy. Like he's going to be dominant once he hits his prime. Like I'm not going to turn this into a Wemby tangent. Paolo Banchero, All-NBA, third team forward. And our All-NBA third team center is Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis has been playing incredible. He's been playing even through the tic-tac injuries he's had. I'm not saying they're tic-tac in terms of the fact that like they're soft injuries. It's the fact that he's had so many of them. Like it's been his shoulder, it's been his wrist, it's been his ankle, it's been his ribs. He's just always kind of dealing with something. But as opposed to previous years, he's out there and he's competing and he's even when you can see that he's not himself, like not 100% himself, he's still going out there and doing his damn thing. And at this point, bro, I can only respect it. So that's our All NBA team. I'm gonna go really, really quick one more time. All NBA first team: Shai, Luka, Tatum, Giannis, Jokic. All NBA second team: Brunson, Edwards, Kevin Durant, Towns, or Gobert. So Timberwolves is gonna take that spot right there. Sabonis as the center. All NBA third team: we have Maxey, Steph, LeBron, Paolo, and Anthony Davis. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is going to rack up our 2024 awards. I don't do all rookie teams, so you don't got to look at me for that. The next time that you guys hear from me, we will be talking NCAA March Madness. We will be talking Caitlin Clark. We will be talking Juju Watkins and all that good stuff. So hope you guys have a great week. Make sure you guys stay blessed, stay healthy. Peace and love, family, and I will see you guys next week. Deuces.